Hey, here we are. Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to another edition of Wrestling After Show, coming to you from the heart of the Mid-Atlantic territory right here in Providence, North Carolina. My name is Heath Haynes, and this is
Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and Star V's #1 fall hit.
And we'll tell you all about it.
Sure, just ask me. Yeah, pull the string.
Still working on the studio here at the After Show headquarters, but it's coming together nicely, bit by bit.
This looks a lot better. We won't have a shark screensaver later.
No, we won't have a blade. Yeah, we're gonna have this the entire time.
Yeah, lightning bolts.
Our fantastic animated Wrestling After Show graphics package.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to talk about a little bit of wrestling. We're in one of those what some people have defined a down period. Now, after WrestleMania this year, you know, there was a lot of talk. Well, now we're just in a down period. And you and I did not agree with that sort of take.
I think we were both on like, is this better than the build? Because the build to Mania just like all those feuds just took so long to culminate, which is not a bad. I love long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
Huge fan. And Triple H. You know, if you've ever seen a Triple H match, he loves long-term everything. And so the Triple H era, I think that's what we're calling the WWE side of this coin. I like it. It's long, it's drawn out, and in a good way, with more times than not satisfying outcomes. Whether you know the heel or babyface wins, it's still it makes sense when we finally culminate some of these feuds. And a lot of the WrestleMania feuds, it took us a while to get there because you should take like WrestleMania is the granddaddy of them all. Yeah. It is to showcase the immortals. It is, you know, things should take time to build to that. And you know, so you have some storylines that were 6 months, 3 months, you know, even a year or more to get to this culmination. And then coming out of, they came out with it wasn't like, you know, remember back in the day, what was it? WrestleMania Backlash. It was basically just a rematch of every single match you saw at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yuck. I bought WrestleMania.
Just saw all this.
You know, I paid $49.95. I got it. I got the culmination. You know, I don't need to see it again. So, and I don't need to see it, you know, in a smaller stadium.
Well, in a similar vein, we find ourselves now in the post SummerSlam era and or era, part of the year, and where we saw a massive reshuffling of the deck or moving pieces around on the chessboard, if you will. A lot of new champions and a lot of new opportunities in the World Wrestling and World Wrestling Entertainment. But still, for me, the most compelling storylines are Judgment Day,
sure,
and CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And I want to touch on something. You and I obviously we talk about it a lot. We're old school wrestling fans of the Mid-Atlantic territory.
Tag team wrestling.
Yeah, we like our heat.
Tag team wrestling and heat. I was about to say the other component of what made Mid-Atlantic so special was the heat.
We like our heat, ladies and gentlemen. And I saw two little pieces of business this week on Raw that gave me that feeling, that kind of like, oh shit feeling, like this guy's angry, this guy's heated. And speaking of heat, the first one was in the opening segment of Raw this week when we saw Rhea Ripley come out to the ring, and she's, you know, kind of addressing her grievances a little bit, rightfully so. And then
didn't dwell on the heartbroken part of it.
No. She moved right past that.
Yeah,
and
because that doesn't fit the character.
No, not at all. Yeah, and she moved right past any sort of mention of being heartbroken into like, I'm ready to kill both of you. They show up, you know, and then and Dom gets to air, you know, his side of things. And again, we've talked about this. It's the characteristic of the best villains in the MCU, as well as the best villains in professional wrestling. The villains where you hear their gripe and you can kind of say, yeah, you know, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong in how he's doing it.
Yeah.
And his perception may be a little skewed.
Sure.
However, it's justifiable to that person where they are mentally in that moment.
That's exactly right. He shouldn't have to call anybody mommy. She's now Liv is going to call me daddy and tendies and video games whenever you want it.
and I feel like there's a couple other accoutrements that are on the menu with Liv Morgan. Just based on shoot interviews from Enzo.
She really does. They really have sort of like her look is I call it, it's the mother of all whores on TV. She is like
she's got it's the it's the smoking hot chick that you're pretty sure you're getting to second base with. So, and
that's a look that never goes out of style.
Never. I mean, back in the day, we're in the 50 range. And back in the day, you had the prom queen, you had the goody. And then as we reached high school, a tinge in junior high, but mostly high school, you got the Alice Cooper looking chicks.
Yeah.
And that was kind of hot. I mean, because it wasn't a thing prior, and the black mascara and just like, whoa, like she could really ruin my life.
Gladly.
Yeah, but you still secretly wanted the prom queen.
Yeah, well, in this case, I think we definitely see where Dominic Mysterio's tastes lie.
Yeah, but I feel like Liv Morgan, she is the prom queen. If she made a few bad decisions,
the prom queen gone wrong.
That made a few bad decisions along the way.
Yeah.
And any girl I've ever dated has made a few bad. I mean, like that's
very recent memory. Upon meeting you, yes.
Yeah, that's
so they're up there giving their spiel, and then Damian Priest pops up right behind him. And you know me, I go back and forth.
Do we like Damian Priest this week?
I go back and forth on Damian, and it ultimately for me it comes down to. Am I buying what this guy's selling?
Believability is so key to all these characters.
And a lot of times with Damian Priest, it's like, he kind of, he's kind of putting something on, It's not him. This week, just that shot of him just standing behind before they even turn around, it's like, whoa, that like just on his face, all business and all reality.
Do you think that was a problem with John Cena in his heyday, the believability? Because like John Cena would talk you into the stands, talk you into buying a ticket. He's like, brother, we're gonna get him. You disgraced me. You disgraced my. You've done all these things, and then he has the match, and then 9 times out of 10 he wins. But let's say he loses. The next week he comes out on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. And he comes there just like, hey, they got oh well, and it's just like.
I see what you're saying.
Why are you smiling? You lost, asshole.
Yeah, John Cena. It's funny because at the time it's like too good to be true. It's like, come on, dude. Like.
Well, I believe a lot. I mean, like the Make-A-Wish stuff is real.
Well,
absolutely.
And
I the first time I ever met John Cena was at WrestleMania in Seattle. And he was supposed to have the rap battle. Rumor was they were bringing in Jay-Z. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but they were actually supposed to have a rap battle. I saw him there at I got to the hotel. I don't know if WrestleMania was on Saturday or Sunday or whatever day it was. I got there the day before. So I'm in the hotel in the lobby, battle rapping these little kids. Like as soon as I checked into the hotel.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man,
is that guy.
That dude's all right. I remember coming back to the hotel or leaving someone's room I wasn't supposed to be in, and all the bad debauchery that I'm getting into over the course of the weekend. And there's John Cena still in that hotel lobby, battle rapping with the kids.
That's beautiful.
Both days, and I'm like, God bless you.
That's beautiful.
That same weekend was when I first met Dominic Mysterio. We got in the elevator. It was me and Thunder D, the guy who did the Dead Grandma Lie with me. And then Ray was in the and Dominic, and Dominic's like this tall, and Ray goes, you see that guy right there, and Dominic looks at me, he's like, yeah, he goes, that's a real life bad guy right there. He's like, oh, and takes a step back.
Yeah, I wonder. it would be interesting if you guys could meet again, see what his recollection of that moment is.
Sure.
But yeah, I can kind of see the comparison with me and Cena. It's like I said, it's like, I always knew they were never going to turn him heel, but I knew he had that, sort of edge in there that you never really got to see. And and he is portraying this, almost, Boy Scout character on TV. And, just in the back of my mind, at least, it's like, I know there's like something else to it. So like, in that respect, it's a little, it was a little hard to believe, but with Damian Priest, it's all in his face. And I saw it all when he was standing right behind Dom and Liv. And then he got to get his hands on Dom, and that physicality, specifically when they got up into the concourse in that area, and just like the furniture getting thrown around. And he's just like flinging Liv around. Well, he's flinging Dom around, and then Liv jumps on the back. I was just, in that moment, I was sort of transported, and I felt like a little kid again. I was like, holy shit, like this, like it's going down right now. Yeah. And I mean, to me, that's the feeling I'm always chasing as a wrestling fan. That's why, that's the high.
Do you feel you've kind of been persuaded by the documentary that you watched on Damian Priest? You feel like subliminally
I think it's more overt than subliminal. I mean, that was a great documentary, and getting to see that guy's backstory. Although I was kind of familiar with it, the Punishment Martinez, and knew he's on the Indies and everything.
Well, I remember watching. I went to a Ring of Honor show. Like I was on BTE that week with the Bucks. And I was a Ring of Honor show, and he was there, and I kind of just like, why is this guy here? Like, does he not know? Like, has Vince not seen this guy? Because he, like, the frame was there to build, like, and at the time I think it was 40 or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, call the guy yesterday.
And I think, and it's funny that we're talking about him right now, because wasn't he managed by Sullivan for a little bit in ROH? That's what I remember.
Sullivan was there when I was there. I thought he was with the
Evil. I thought
he was with the guy with the book, Truth Martini or whatever. They had the book.
That seems like that would not. We probably should do a little Kevin Sullivan talk, because I think
I got some Sully stories.
That'll be our classic segment for the week.
Just a look back at Sully.
But going back, I do think my turnaround this week on Damian Priest is it's got to do with that documentary. It's got to do with his gear. Because I think I heard this echoed by Brian Last at some point. The purple, I don't think, was doing him any favors.
It was working towards the bisexual Undertaker.
and now he's doing the all black gear.
Yeah. And
I think that looks great.
I think the purple, like if you look at the Judgment Day,
that's their
branding. They have the purple. Finn is always 9 times out of 10 rocking the Jordans, the custom Jordans, the black and purple. I have the actual Concords because well, I'm just saying.
Of course, you're just saying.
So, but that purple was a thing of it, and it harkens back to the introduction of the Undertaker, with the purple gloves.
Yeah, totally.
So I get it, but I just think the Undertaker is not a good looking dude.
Yeah.
Whereas Damian Priest is a good-looking dude, and with the man liner, you can understand the bisexual Undertaker trending on X.
Sure. Yeah. I think him and Rhea look great together, and I love how. Okay, so he's gotten to get his hands on Dom, but who he really wants to get his hands on is Finn. And Rhea wants to get her hands on Dom, but she hasn't. Like, neither one of them have really had that moment where they've target acquired. Yeah, and that's great because we want to save that for like the mixed tag.
Sure,
that's coming down the road.
Do you like the name the Terror Twins?
I don't not like it. It's alliterative, which I think is one of the hallmarks.
Paul Heyman lives by alliteration.
Yeah. The Terror Twins. I did hear that tossed off on commentary this week. Do you think that's gonna stick moving forward, or?
I think I can see it being a shirt.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can go so far as seeing it as like a chalk line satin jacket, like going that.
Yeah.
Like it harkens back to the dudes with attitudes, not the WCW with Junkyard Dog and Mr. Wonderful and Sting or whatever, but the HBK and Diesel.
Okay.
They were dudes with attitudes,
All right.
like, because I guess they just did not care what was happening in WCW.
Wait, I thought dudes with attitudes was Shane Douglas and
they were the dynamic dudes.
The dynamic dudes.
Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas. They used to
Shane
walk
Douglas,
their skateboards to the ring.
Yeah.
Because that's what all the
Neither
cool
one of them
skateboarders did. They would walk it. Can you imagine Darby Allin walking his skateboard to the ring?
I mean, one day he's just gonna have to carry it as they stretcher him to the ring. I think. Man.
Oh, that guy! Before we get into our next big feud, there's a few names are throwing out that are potentially coming from AEW to WWE.
Yeah.
Rumor and innuendo.
I'm thinking 3 in particular.
Okay.
If they're who you're thinking of.
Okay. So the first name they're throwing out there is Penta and Ray Fenix.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay.
What's your initial take?
I think those guys think they're way more over and way more known than they might actually be in respect to like a WWE audience. Now, for sure, they're over, internationally, because obviously they come from Mexico. They worked all over the States.
Kings of Mexico.
Yeah,
they've been in AEW and had, I think, the greatest tag matches in AEW. If you look at the greatest tag matches in the history of AEW, Penta and Ray Fenix were in it.
If those tag matches also involved FTR, then I agree.
And honestly, FTR and the Bucks,
those are not great.
We're not great. So no, FTR and Penta and Fenix were good.
As far as
Bucks and Penta and Fenix were good.
And well, back when Collision was still a thing you would watch, that FTR and Switchblade and Juice Robinson, match, that was insanely good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but
those guys coming to WWE, I think,
Penta was Impact champion,
and they were both on Lucha Underground, which is where I was exposed to them.
Sure.
First off, and that season, and I still, season 1 of Lucha Underground was like magic for me. I got super into it, and Ray Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken, did take one of the most terrific ass beatings of all time. And was it him and Penta, or was it him and Mil Muertes? Just kicked the shit out of him, up one side, down the other, that setup they had. Anyway, those guys, they're not going to want to go to NXT, and I think they 100% need to go to NXT.
Well, I don't think they have a choice whether they go to NXT or not. And
they're not going to want to, I don't think.
You know what? They should.
Yeah.
I think less is more with those guys.
For sure.
Like, I would love, as great matches as we've seen from them, and I think they're amazing spot fests. I would love for them to tell a fucking story.
Slow down, grab a hold.
I mean, just sell something, whether it's you or your opponent.
Yeah.
Like your opponent selling something amazing makes you look cooler.
Those guys are the most lucha of lucha.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between lucha and WWE lucha, you know?
Yeah.
And and they need to come in, they need to learn to work if they're going to be,
slow it down and take wrestle another 20 years instead of possibly 2.
Yeah. I mean, Ray Phoenix, he had that one horrific arm break.
Yeah.
Right. But that was not his only injury over the past 5 years. Right.
Yeah. No. Like I mean, I think as far as masked wrestlers are concerned, I think Penta is my favorite of all. I think that look is one of the most amazing looks I've ever seen in the history of ever. So it's like the best of what I loved about Great Muta and the initial spookiness of that. And then, La Parka or Rey Mysterio or,
Speaking of that, though, the most over that Penta has ever been with me was on that first season of Lucha Underground. But what they had him doing, if you remember, is every time you saw that guy, he broke somebody's arm.
Yeah.
And it looked, I mean, it always looked devastating.
Yeah. But he's just
that was like, that's what got over with me. Not any of this shit, that you do during the course of your match. It was just like, oh, this is the guy who, when the match is over, he's going to break that dude's arm.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I mean, give him something like that, And I also think break them up and have them, because I think that's when they work best, is when they're actually adversaries.
Well, the tag division can use them. So,
yeah. That's it. Have them be a tag team, and then eventually.
Up, no, I want them. I want them to come in together. I want 2 months in NXT.
Yeah.
So I'd like pop those big, like they have 2 big arenas they're doing back to back when they go to the CW.
Yeah.
They're doing what? Chicago and
St. Louis.
Chicago, St. Louis. Those 2 shows, have them on there. As I said, 2 months. We're not hurting it. They got to learn. It took Finn Balor 2 years to find out where the hard camera was. Samoa Joe.
so those are 2 names.
Yeah. Okay.
What are they?
Okay. Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh, okay. Man, great tag team.
They got some miles on them.
They got a lot of miles on them. Like,
but they still look the part.
I hadn't seen those guys long. I mean, I loved them in Impact. When I was watching Impact around,
I don't like this.
Do you know? Upper Peninsula. I love that. And my roommate at the time was from Michigan, and he was like, "I fucking hate that thing." And I was like, "Dude, I think it's cool."
Yeah, because I asked him, "What's this?" Like, I'm just like, I came to watch wrestling on geography.
Wow. So. Anyway, those guys, because they've been in Impact recently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like the last time I was watching Impact, Josh Sabin was solo. Chris Sabin, sorry, was a solo, and I thought he was great as a solo. But those, I mean, I love the name Motor City Machine Guns.
I love the name.
They do have some years on them, and I think,
but with those years, I think they've learned to work smarter and not harder.
And for me, that whole gimmick, that package it's sort of youthful. So I would have to see them with that Motor City Machine Guns branding, but then possibly, darkened up or just have the gimmick actually be a little bit more mature. But I see them as NXT mainstays and helping the young guys along. I don't see them as really making an impact on the main roster.
Well, I say start in NXT, sure, and then come up to the main roster and see what you got.
Yeah,
if it's I feel like they're in a good position to I would kill for a Motor City Machine Guns Pretty Deadly feud.
Okay, yeah.
Let's get this musical out of the way.
That's Pretty Deadly. Their creative has not been doing them any favors.
Did you see them in their heyday in NXT?
No, I never did.
Oh my God, we'll watch. Next week's match of the week, Pretty Deadly and the New Day from NXT.
Okay,
it's one of the best tag matches I've seen live in 5 years.
The gear is a big handicap for me.
Well, that was the bet. I took my fiance. We were at Hearts of Reality in Florida doing the big charity deals. 125 reality stars and a group of us, courtesy of my good friend Grayson Waller.
Okay.
We went down there to the PLE, or I don't even know what it is. It's whatever. I guess it's a PLE. So anyway, so we go and I'm watching, and I wasn't super. I had seen like little clips and stuff. I wasn't super familiar with Pretty Deadly, and we go, and my fiance was like, I literally wore that to the pool earlier. Like the same color, everything.
Yeah.
She was just like, "What are they doing?"
Yeah.
And I was like, it's Heat, but I'm just like, is it really Heat in 2024? Because you can't really, like, so. But
the gear is kind of a barrier for me to fully get into them, and the fact that they're just kind of saddled with like this comedy.
Yeah, I hate the
right now.
So the match I'm going to show you, they had broken past.
But their work. I mean, recently in one of these tag team gauntlet matches that they had, like you look at them, the work's fine.
It's
just hard to get past everything else.
It is very Midnight Express in the right conditions when the temperatures.
Quick tags.
Yeah. So as I said, we'll that'll be our match of the week. Okay. You're gonna love it. Like it's literally my favorite tag, and I've seen Dynamite when they've come through, and and I've seen I've seen some tag teams. So my favorite live tag match in 5 years.
Okay, we'll watch it next week.
Yeah.
Who's the third name on your list?
Rumor and innuendo. I don't know the validity. Hook.
No, I haven't heard that. Well, then there's 4 names because I've heard a different name.
Okay, but let's start with Hook. Whoo!
Yeah, I mean nothing but upside with that guy, and he's so raw. But
how is he not like? I mean, I feel because he was under the Chris Jericho learning tree, and I don't know what Chris does with these guys in the off time. Like, I would be a sponge. Like, I would just be like, hey, can we go out there? And, and I know a lot of those guys, they get to the building, they're just like, no, I don't want to roll, So, but right before Joe got written off going through sheetrock, which is deadly, I guess. He's filming Twisted Metal too. So they had to write him out. But I was excited about that tag team because I'm just like, okay, I don't know who all he's been with that has been mentoring him or not mentoring him, but I can't imagine Joe not going, do this, kid, don't do that. Do this.
It definitely seems like you would be able to pick up more good habits from somebody like Samoa Joe as opposed to all the bad habits that you could probably pick up from, I hate to say it because I used to love the guy. Chris Jericho 2024 is not Chris Jericho 04 or even 14 at this point. But yeah, if you get Hook out of AEW, get him to NXT, get him just in an environment where he can soak up some good habits.
Oh yeah, I want Shawn Michaels talking to this kid. I want Road Dogg talking to this kid.
Because I mean, you look at him. I mean, it's we're in the day and age of everybody's talking about aura. That kid has got it.
He's got he's got the it.
He's got I don't give a fuck kind of haircut. Walk in the ring. Take that and really juice it up. And let him. I mean, teach him how to work. Teach him how to sell. Yeah. Because as explosive as he is offensively, his role I think ultimately should be underneath babyface. Yeah. And so he's got and getting the sympathy and selling and making the comeback. Teach that kid how to sell.
Oh my God! Just imagine him and Kerry Morton as a tag team.
Well, yeah, Kerry. Well, I mean.
Cool.
Last time I saw Kerry, it semes like maybe a little bit more time in the gym for that kid.
I think they both should go. I think Hook can tell him how to slim down, and I think Kerry can tell him how to put on a couple.
Well,
pounds.
Hook needs to definitely eat a couple sandwiches. I'd say, for real. But I hadn't heard the Hook thing. No, the other guy that I had heard was who's the dancing kid that was in the Jericho Appreciation Society. He does the little dances and
Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia. That's the name I keep hearing.
Yeah, and then of course Ricky Starks. His contract ends in 18 years apparently.
Ricky Starks, I think, bypasses NXT, goes straight to main roster. That guy has been ready forever.
Yeah, and he's like 42.
What?
He's not young.
I know he's not like I didn't think he was that old.
Oh,
I know he's that's
that's
my
you.
phone. Yeah, I didn't think he was that old, but he
How old is Ricky Starks? 34.
34.
All right,
Yeah,
I feel a little better.
He's
Well, he's not getting any younger, not being on TV.
Well, none of us are.
But he's not taking bumps. His bump card is cleared up by the minute.
Yeah, and it's and everybody would cancer CM Punk. The only time that Ricky Starks has been used anywhere close of his his possibility was in that fabled era that we were just talking about of when Collision was good, when it was Punk's show last year.
Yeah.
And did you go to the Collision in Greensboro?
No.
It was right after, I think it was right after Starks won the Owen, or at least beat Punk. Did he beat Punk in the finals for the Owen?
Right. I don't know if it was finals, semifinals, or what. At some point, yes.
He had beaten Punk.
Yeah.
And he came out in Greensboro wearing this getup that was like, it looked like yellow, like rain pants, like Gorton Fisherman rain pants with suspendies, and then this like sort of like cape thing, but not really a cape, just this it was the most ridiculous getup, and he was pulling it off, and he was getting so much heat. And then he had he had like a wagon that would just to carry his shoes that he wasn't wearing, but he just wanted to show everybody his shoes that he had bought because he like made all this money. And then he cut this like 5-minute promo, and it was a little twisty turny. Yeah. He can get a little ahead of himself sometimes, but like,
well, that was Cody in AEW as well.
Yeah,
it's that editor that is just like yes, take out that, we're good.
And it was amazing. And then of course, Punk's gone. As soon as Punk is gone, then piss off Ricky Starks. I think get him in and get him to the main roster immediately. But going back to this Daniel Garcia guy, because I don't see any upside on this kid.
That's where I'm at. Everyone keeps telling me, and I'm just like, okay, this guy's been defined down. So he'll get 1 win, possibly 2 wins. They throw him into a main event. He always loses.
Yeah,
always. Like I saw a Rampage main event in Raleigh. When it was just like the main event. I think it was like Punk versus Garcia or what. I don't know. Who was it? Daniel Bryan, whoever it was. I can remember like, how's this? Like, he's not winning.
Zero aura on that guy as opposed to Hook. And he's actually got. I mean, he was indie guy forever. I think he's
fundamentally great. I love the backstory.
He had a car wreck,
and Jericho not even knowing who he is paid for it.
Yeah.
Had never met the kid.
All that stuff is great.
Yeah, but I
doesn't translate.
I don't think so. No. And as I said, it doesn't. He's just been defined. Get out of there, get to NXT, and just build some wins.
Yeah. Well, I unfortunately I don't see unless there's a shelf life on Johnny Gargano, because to me that's who Daniel Garcia is next year's Johnny Gargano, just like solid indie guy who but there's no there's no there. But maybe you want to have that guy around. Maybe you can mold him into something. But
put a mouse, make him Mighty Mouse.
That's been
give him a cape.
That's been the name I've heard. So anyway, those are our possible predictions and scenarios for the AEW invasion of NXT.
There we go.
Which is actually kind of already taking place with All Ego Ethan Page. I mean, comes in.
It's begun, and they believe in Joe Hendry. Say his name,
and he appears.
He's not here, but what is here? We got a quick word from our sponsors. Coming to Cary's Coca Booth Amphitheater, it's the legendary Roots crew. That's right, the Roots are coming to Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. And they're not alone. Special guest Macy Gray This is benefiting the KL Cancer Fund, so get your tickets now. That's right, go to etix.com, that's ETIX.com, or come to the venue box office. It's Coca Booth Amphitheater in Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. The Roots. See you there. And we are back. Sean Plickta, we will get to you in a little bit. We got one more bit of business to talk about.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about once again. I want to talk about my favorite thing in wrestling over the past 5 years. It's been different things, but it has always surrounded one Mr. CM Punk, and I thought he had another outstanding angle this week in the ever-developing program with him and Drew McIntyre. We got to see more of that physicality that I was talking about at the top of the show, where it's like, oh, wow, like these guys really mean it. This guy is really trying to beat the hell out of this other guy. And then we got the introduction of the belt, which I think is going to lend us. Look at that.
There we go, folks. Look at that. Drew McIntyre, you beast. I guess Punk's the beast.
Well, again,
but Drew's a beast for taking it.
Again, that believable physicality, where it's not just like, wow, these guys really hate each other, and it just, it gets me excited. And yeah, so what do you think? It seems like the very logical conclusion. I think Punk actually referenced this in a promo afterwards, where this is pretty much going to lead to a strap match. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love a strap match. I love a strap match, and I love a good dog collar match.
Which Punk has had some killer dog collar matches.
I mean, and he's watched the best. I mean, he's openly admitted
the
like
Piper thing,
the pipe, and it's so crazy. Like, peek behind the curtain. I've seen Piper in public, and you can watch on television when like he's not super comfortable with the guy he's working with. Like if he's Piper in WCW, he didn't trust a lot of people.
Yeah.
So he was just like, oh, they're like, and it's funny because I've talked to Kevin Nash and Disco Inferno about it, and they were just like, dude, like. It's a work, like, and when Piper when Piper's pressured that it might get real, and he's prepared to get real, because he will. He doesn't care, like it's just like, I don't care what your script says. If this thing gets squirrely, I'm gonna throw the, like, my buddy. Sidetrack real quick. My buddy was just like Piper invited my friend, who was a Golden Gloves boxer and went to Frank Shamrock School and all that, and they went to Judo Gene LaBelle's. And he's like, you wanna wrestle? And my buddy's like, yeah. And immediately Piper poked him in the eyes, fish hook, kicked him in the nuts. I mean, like, my buddy's like, what the fuck? He goes, are you kidding me? Like, they're in Judo, and Gene LaBelle, Judo Gene is dying laughing. He's like, yeah, that's right. That's how you do it, Roddy.
Yeah, that's
and just like, that's what you teach them, Judo Gene.
Yeah.
You teach them the poke to the eyes and the fit. So, but if you watch, whenever Piper's nervous and thinks it's about, there's a potential. Piper would do this. He'd cover his ear, because his ear almost got ripped off from that dog collar match.
Yeah.
And it's a nervous. I talked to him about it. He had no idea that he did it. I was just like, look, watch this. It's a nervous tick. He would put it and protect his ear or this before he's about to throw that punch, because he didn't want it. Didn't want you going after the ear.
Now, do you think? Okay, so we're gonna get a strap match with Punk and McIntyre. Couple questions.
Yeah.
I'll pose them and then answer them, and then and then send them
Sounds
to
good.
you. So, would this be better as a dog collar match? And I think yes, it would be, but I think that might be
next.
It might be a level of violence that maybe they're not ready for on mainstream WWE TV right now. So go with the next best thing, the strap match, because ultimately the story is, you're not getting away from me now. Now I've got you. We're connected, and there you go. So strap match, I think will be fine. And
I think it's honestly,
with a dog collar match, you have to have double juice.
Yeah.
And with a strap match, that's not necessary.
Yeah. Well, I feel with the strap match, it's the same as a dog collar match, except it gives you a little more. It's easier to work.
It is easier to work.
Yeah. So I mean, like Punk is like we saw at SummerSlam. Punk looked good. Punk didn't look great.
I thought he looked good for 2024 and for coming off of an injury.
I thought, but I didn't think like it's not the Punk. Like I feel like there's one more gear Punk we're gonna get, and we didn't get it at SummerSlam.
Yes, leave some in the tank, man.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And I think that dog collar is prohibitive, just movement wise versus what he can do movement wise with that strap.
Okay, I'll buy that. But ultimately, the story is I've gotten, we're bound together.
Yeah.
And you can do some creative stuff with it.
Yeah.
I
think it ends with some kind of deal where Punk is choking out.
Well, there's going to be somebody's going to get hung.
Punk chokes out Drew, and Drew never gives up. And once again, is this Drew McIntyre top 3 babyface in WWE right now? I mean, because that's a Stone Cold finish if I've ever seen.
Well, yes. I see Drew going over again.
I don't.
And because I think there's going to be one more match after this. I think there's going to be one after that, and I think that's where Punk takes it all, and and possibly Hell in a Cell. And whoever wins the last match, it doesn't matter who wins more. Whoever wins the last one wins the feud. And I think giving Drew the wins along the way keeps him strong. While whenever we get to the end, which is Hell in a Cell or whatever, Punk wins that, and then he wins the program. But McIntyre looked strong all the way through. And that would be my next question. Is we definitely see this now the strap match, is this going to be Bash in Berlin, you're thinking?
I think strap match is Bash in Berlin, and I think Punk wins, and I think Bad Blood, and I hate saying it, and I hope I'm not jinxing it. I think Bad Blood is Hell in a Cell, and we get Gallus to join Drew.
Ooh.
And then Punk needs to find some friends.
Ooh. I like all that.
Yeah.
I like all that.
So, and we mentioned one earlier.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. Who's his other friend?
What? Who's Punk's other friend? Ricky Starks, baby.
I know that's one. He needs a couple.
Who else? Motor City Machine. I bring everybody up from AEW. Hook. Yeah. I mean, have the AEW Outcast.
Well, Punk did Cody promised me. So the first time that AEW was at the Greensboro Coliseum, at the end of the night, Cody Rhodes thanked everybody for being there. Tony Khan came, and Tony Khan thanked everybody for being there. And then Hook's music hit, and he goes, "I want you right now." And Cody Rhodes goes, "I admire the gumption. I like the moxie. I like you coming out here and throwing out." He goes, "It's not happening tonight." He goes, "But I promise everyone here at the Greensboro Coliseum, you will get this match." And as of right now, Cody Rhodes is a liar. Because I don't see where do you see Hook versus Cody Rhodes at the Greensboro Coliseum happen? Like when?
Yeah, it's gonna be a few years. It'll be a few years.
Okay, well, he promised me.
So those are my two big angles that I loved. Again, I think Raw was a pretty strong show. I did not watch it live. I watched it on Hulu, which it's a 3-hour show. On Hulu, it's only 2 hours, so some stuff has to get cut out. And I just want to touch on this real quick. The stuff that gets cut out of for the Hulu edit is very telling. And unfortunately, one of my favorite programs for a while, until the Wyatt Six involvement, had been whatever's going on with Chad Gable. Every week I was like, what's going on with Chad Gable? Yeah. Chad Gable did not make the Hulu cut this week.
Because there was a woman involved.
I have no insight.
They usually cut out the women's stuff.
I'm just saying.
Well,
that
was there a woman involved
Gable,
in the Chad Gable stuff?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, Ivy Nile Turn.
Yeah, Ivy Nile Turn.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
I disagree. I disagree with you. I think it's once again just like Chad Gable just getting the shaft. I don't think it has anything to do with the women being in play.
I don't think it's WWE. I think Hulu hates women.
You heard it here first.
Hashtag it.
You heard it here first, and hopefully for the last time.
Well, I don't know.
From Fairplay. Let's bring on our buddy Sean Plickton and see if you sent him a valid link this week.
Hey, turn on your camera, Sean. What's going on?
I'm actually, to be honest, I'm kind of running errands today, so it's probably
okay. There we go.
I do. There's a valid excuse now. Actually, a valid excuse I have this time, but I will figure that out. I promise you, I will figure that out.
What do you think of the setup, Sean?
I like it. It's there. The lightning's going. I mean, I love it.
The lightning, right?
It's cool. I think it's cool.
Ride the lightning.
It hasn't paused. It hasn't done anything weird. It hasn't gone back to the beginning. I mean, everything's great. Everything's wonderful.
All right,
so,
well, Sean's here to fuck that up.
We fixed one thing.
Hey, come on now. No, so it's good to be on with you guys. I didn't get to hear the first maybe 15 or 20 minutes when I was traveling around. So I don't know what you guys talked about at the beginning.
We had a kissing contest. I won. My
but who was the judge?
My stepdad told me I was the best kisser in my family. We used to practice.
He told me too.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well,
about you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Not about me.
Okay.
Oh man. Well, so go back to what you said about. Now I will laugh at you about Punk when you said that he wasn't, or he didn't feel like he was in the same rhythm at SummerSlam. It's because of the bracelet, Johnny. It's because of the bracelet.
He did not have his power bracelet. I keep forgetting to wear my power bracelet. I don't like to run with it. I do everything other than run with my bracelet. So I didn't put it back on.
Real quick, Johnny, can we get a little more volume on Sean?
Potentially. Go ahead, Sean.
How's that?
That's good. Sure.
Let's go for it. Sean, real quick, I did want to figure something out. So you're in Tennessee, right?
Yes, sir, I am. Absolutely.
Murfreesboro.
Oh, you're Murfreesboro. Okay, I think maybe we did touch on that before because I was in Nashville for like 17 years and just moved back to Virginia last year. But yeah, very, very familiar with the Tennessee territory. That was my old stomping grounds for a while.
Yeah. How long have you been in Tennessee, Sean?
I moved there in '99, so 25 years now.
Wow.
Okay.
Right
so I was about to say you don't have any early Tennessee wrestling. Where were you before that?
I was in Georgia, right outside of Atlanta for a year, and then I was right outside in the Birmingham suburbs, like the couple years prior to that. So I've been in the South for a while, but I hadn't really at that point. I had gotten out of honestly wrestling for a little while. Like I caught the Attitude Era, and then a lot of that early, like I went back and watched it obviously after the fact, but that early Cena when he first started getting hot, and then when the fans started kind of turning there for a little bit, I missed a lot of that in its entirety. But then I went back obviously and watched a lot of it after the fact. I didn't really start getting back into it honestly until when Bray first got popular, when they first brought the Bray and Brody and all them in. That's when I really started getting back into wrestling when Seth was right after the Shield got big, and then they kind of did their thing for a little bit. That's when I started actually getting back into wrestling, and then I went back obviously and watched a lot of stuff before. So yeah,
that's wild because I kind of followed the same outline because I feel like when I got back into it was right. The Shield was a thing, and it was like right after Punk was gone.
Yeah.
And the first things I remember were the Shield and the Wyatts.
Now, what do you think about this? One of my favorite SummerSlam matches of all time. And Johnny, I want to hear what you think about this really fast. Man, I loved going back when Heyman turned on Punk and Punk went face against Brock. Oh my God, that match was freaking awesome. Yeah, that was one of the best SummerSlam matches ever. It's so underrated. You don't hear about it from a lot of people. That match was just, everything about it was awesome.
Well, I think the big thing with Brock is he has to respect you to have, John Moxley was just like, this guy did not give a fuck about me. So and both being Heyman guys, You know, I'm
Yep.
sure Haynes was like, you know, like if he wasn't hip to it, he was just like, oh yeah,
Well, now you got me thinking, Sean. Going back to the Drew McIntyre Gallus unit. Now CM Punk needs some friends. You know who his best friend in the wrestling business has always been? Paul Heyman. How about the CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar unit?
I want Roman with I want Roman
guys.
I want Roman I want Roman with the
Sure, yeah, he's gonna do the bloodline.
but Brock, Punk, and Ricky Starks, I'm all over.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because you know Sparks is probably would be a Heyman guy. What do you think about that fantasy booking right there, Sean?
Well, it's funny about you said about Brock, Punk, and Starks. That would be cool. I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm not. What I've seen of Gallus, I'm not a big fan. I don't think they would do anything with Drew on the main roster. I don't think they would gain much. I mean, they could. I could be wrong. I could be sadly mistaken.
I think a little Drew dust goes a long way in 2024.
Yeah, it could. It could. No, with them, I mean, it would make sense with them. So I would give it time if they did it. I think it would be interesting. From what I've seen in NXT, you know, Sean doesn't seem like he's very invested in them in NXT. So I don't know if Hunter.
Well, I would imagine he might not be invested because he's been given the 411. They're out the door soon.
That's no, it could be. And
he hates investing. He's just like, all right, I'm putting the strap on. I was like, yeah, we need him next week. It's like, well, dude, you could have told me. I think the communication lines between Triple H and Shawn Michaels are a lot better than they ever were with Vince and Shawn, or Vince and Triple H.
Sure, between the NXT main roster pipeline. Here's my thoughts on Gallus. I think they can work enough, and I think they look tremendous. That Joe Coffey just so just have those guys standing behind Drew just looking mean.
Yeah,
that's good enough for me.
So, I want to hear what you guys thought. We'll go back to the early part of I wanted to bring this up about Raw, and then I wanted to bring up an AEW thing real quick. The thing about Raw was I loved the start of the show with Rhea and Dom and Liv. I loved it. I freaking loved Dom, like I said, I know he can eventually, at some point, they're going to turn him face. I still hope it's way down the line because it's too early for that right now.
Yeah, or maybe never. Like Ricky Steamboat was never a heel. What if Dominic Mysterio was never? Oh well, I mean, he kind of was, but he was like he wasn't Dominic. Like he became a wrestler when he became Dirty Dom. And if this guy never turns after that, I ain't against it. I mean, I do think he could be one of the greatest baby faces ever just because you hate him so much and he does something he shouldn't that's noble.
Yeah, I don't see him ever turning baby face.
Why?
I don't see. Yeah, he's just a heel from here on out.
Yeah.
You know.
And I was one of those people, you know, early on. I think Johnny, you know this. When Liv was doing a lot of the stuff being a babyface, I just didn't like her at all. I didn't like the way she came out. Like Wade brought up a lot of the points. I didn't like a lot of that. But now that
the blue tongue, I'm just like, we got it. Your tongue's blue. Like, I mean, like I once again, I heard an Enzo shoot video. I know where that tongue's been. Stop. Put it in your mouth. Keep it there.
And then she turned a heel and is doing all this stuff with Dom and Finn and everybody. And it's
she's
just
amazing.
So she's more believable now in her role. I want to hate her. I want to all this stuff. And then Rhea, you know, people worried. And I wasn't worried, but I wanted to see the follow up to this angle. And she's like, I just want to kick both of your asses. Like it was more fit. You know, like I'm just violent. I want to be violent. I want to crush you. It's not like she said she was heartbroken, but I didn't care about that because she had attitude about it.
Skipped past it so fast, and I was just like, good, because as I said, I feel her character's too tough and too cool to be heartbroken.
Yes, exactly. So they did that really well. I thought it was all, and like, could Finn still be the mastermind behind everything? Yeah, it's still possible, and they can still tell that story, and I'm all for it. I mean, I think Finn, you know. I think as great as he is, I'm with you, Johnny. I love Finn. I think he has been defined to a certain level by a lot of what Vince did, and I don't think Hunter's really
smiling Finn.
Yeah.
Can anyone explain to me smiling Finn Balor?
No.
I do know that that the way when Finn Balor, when he did the turn at SummerSlam and they got that shot, his expression, just that evil, but almost like not maniacal, just like that sort of gremlin, almost like Gollum expression.
Prince Devitt.
Just kind of sneering and like one eye was kind of squinting, like, was so good. And it's like, and it's so funny because when we talked about the angle you're talking about, Sean, that's how we kicked off the show. And we were talking about how I go back and forth with Damian Priest, like virtually like flip-flopping every week. Like, oh, he's awesome. I don't know. This week was another up week. And a big part of it for me was his expression standing behind
Dom and Liv. Oh gosh, that was so good. That was so good.
It was like Undertaker at Mania behind AJ Styles and the.
It was real. It was just real. It was serious.
That was the pandemic, Johnny. Right? That was the pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic. Right? I love that. And anyone that asks me, they're just like, what did I miss? What did I miss during the pandemic? I was like, and I there's only one thing that they missed, and that's Undertaker AJ Styles Boneyard match.
That was good.
Okay. So, with Metallica. I mean, come on.
Was that with or without Hogan on bass?
It depends. The initial airing, they couldn't afford to pay him for the they switched it out if you watch it on Peacock.
Sean, we sort of decided earlier on in the show that I can't remember when it happened. It was
after the kissing contest.
No. Was it after? Was it last Friday that we got the news about Kevin Sullivan passing?
Yes.
Okay, so it was right after we taped last week's show. So I feel like it would be really fitting if at this time we took some time to talk about the original Prince of Darkness, the Taskmaster, the Booker Man, Kevin Sullivan. And Sean, since you're on with us, we'll just kick it to you first. Do you have any? Not asking about Kevin Sullivan stories, because obviously this one over here will have some Kevin Sullivan stories. But like, do you have Kevin Sullivan impressions? When were you first made aware of Kevin Sullivan and any impact that he maybe had on you?
Yeah, so when I first saw him, it was obviously back during the WCW part of the Attitude Era. I got to see a little bit on him, and I saw some of the stuff with Benoit. And I will say, I can still watch Benoit matches. It doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, I know he did a horrendous thing, and I mean, it was bad. But I can get away from that when I'm watching a Benoit match, because he was great in the ring. He was great at what he did. So that doesn't bother me per se. But I watched a lot of and when I first saw Kevin Sullivan, he didn't wow me with anything, because I wasn't really good with the business back then. I didn't know a lot about the business at that time. So
he's kind of squatty. He has a squatty look. I'm just like, what is this? And then you want to be like, wow, this dude's mean.
Yeah. And so I liked as a heel. I thought he just was phenomenal at what he did. I mean, seeing that match, what he did a little bit after that, and then to see what he did, a lot of the impact he actually had was really cool to kind of hear a lot of the stories about him. And so, yeah, RIP to him. I don't have anything specific, to add, but I liked what I saw of him in WCW. I didn't see much after that, but I thought he did well with what the game to do. I thought he was very, told good stories for that time period. I thought it was really cool. And yeah, I mean, it was sad to hear he passed on.
Kevin Sullivan for me, and thank you, Sean. Kevin Sullivan for me is one of those almost like a mythical creature, a being that was only possible if you came up when we kind of did as wrestling fans in the 80s and before that too. For sure pre-internet and pre like being smart to the business or whatever, and pre like being able to see a lot of wrestling that wasn't
the magazine. He was a legend in magazine form before.
That's where I'm going. So for me, forever, Kevin Sullivan only existed in the pages of wrestling magazines. And in the pages of wrestling magazines of the 80s, he was definitely bizarre and legit terrifying and super confusing.
Demonic?
For a kid. Not necessarily satanic, though.
Yes.
And that's always the thing. But you would always see him, either with the proverbial crimson mask, or just like the shots are just like, hey, it's him on a beach with a boa constrictor,
yes,
and his smoking show fucking girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And then he
figured out all the gimmicks,
poking people in the this thing with the eyes. And then it's like, who are all these other people? It's like, I didn't know who Bob Roop was, but apparently he convinced this Olympic wrestler to shave half of his head and renounce like all Western society. Here's the Purple Hayes, who I didn't know who Mark Lewin was, but here's this like 6'8" bald-headed behemoth, with his eyes rolled back in his head and just doing this all the time. And it's like, holy shit. And then he showed up on Crockett, and we've talked about this. It's like, oh, you're like, what?
Yeah.
and he had another different thing. And then eventually I went back, and because, with YouTube, you can go back and watch. So all the stuff that was happening concurrently with the wrestling magazine stuff I was seeing, you're able to now go back and watch Championship Wrestling from Florida from 1982 and see him throw ink at Dusty Rhodes' sister's face, and and all this stuff. But to see his what he was doing, just television production promo wise in the early 80s, like him on a beach with a sword or something.
Yeah. I mean, just give it. He goes, like he's not like Jake the Snake, but he's just like, give me a boa constrictor and we'll get over here. You're like, no, get a skimpier bikini. Yeah, just stand. Shut up. Stand beside me.
And a dog collar and chains.
And then a dog collar.
But the promo I'm talking about, and you can find this on YouTube, he's on the beach. He's got Fallen Angel there, and he starts cutting this promo, and you don't even see it, but like in the distance, and there, his back is to the ocean. Here comes fucking Mark Lewin just out of the water, and then reaches the shore as they get to the culmination. And so it's like, how they even
the timing.
The timing of all that is amazing.
Imagine, like I've worked in wrestling for 20 years now. Telling a wrestler timing is like trying to herd cats.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just like, hey, Fairplay. So the spot where you nail him with the tiki torch, like, what do you want? What kayfabe word do you want to say? And I'm like, how about hit him?
Right.
And they're like, what? I mean, like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, hit him works for me. I'll know to hit them when you say hit them. So why are you why kayfabe that? But that
so speaking of your involvement in the wrestling business, you did cross paths with the Taskmaster
a
time or two. So if you could share a couple of stories with us.
But I just want to share, and I hope I haven't told. Did I tell the sushi story on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Sean, does that sound familiar? Bring it back to sushi.
No, it doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
Okay, so I got called to do Judge Steve Mathis. And so I sued Ronnie Gossett. He's a wrestling promoter. Apparently he was just in a fire this week. So thoughts and prayers going out to Ronnie. I'm going to throw that GoFundMe up in the liner notes, right? If anybody would like to. If you guys know Ronnie Gossett, he's a sweetheart. So let me throw that GoFundMe up in the liner notes after this. But help him out. But apparently, big fire burned down his house. Very, very bad. So, but anyway, I had done a wrestling event for Ronnie Gossett, and maybe the money wasn't quite right afterwards, and so maybe that's why we needed to be on Judge Steve Harvey. So, well, as a result of that, I got paid to be there. Ronnie got paid to be there, and I got and the TV show pays the judgment that they owe to that. That's why people did People's Court back in the day.
Yeah.
Whatever you're suing for, the TV show pays. You don't have to pay it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but they were asking Ronnie. They were just like, "Hey, do you know any other wrestlers? Like Steve Harvey loves wrestling. you know any other wrestlers that owe somebody money? And he was like, yeah. He goes, Kevin Sullivan owes J.J. Dillon money for this boat. So J.J. Dillon sued Kevin Sullivan, and so Ronnie got an appearance fee for both of a booking fee for both of them. And then on mine, Ronnie's character witness to say was Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. He's like, Jonny Fairplay's a bitch. And I was like, thank you. And Steve Harvey goes, Big Papa Pump just called you a bitch. Thank you, Steve Harvey. So anyway, so we were there. They taped them like we were one day and they were the next, or they were the day before and we were the next day or whatever. So anyway, so we're in town early. And this is during COVID, so we had to be there for 3 days and be tested 3 times. It was a fucking nightmare. So anyway, Ronnie goes, I know this sushi place that we can go to that we shouldn't. I was like, okay, so we go and Sully goes, where are you guys at? And we're like, he's like, bring me some sushi. So anyway, so we go to Sully's room. He's in his underwear, tidy whities. He's like, come on in. I'm like, well, this isn't uncomfortable. But if you think about it, tidy whities probably cover a little more skin than his tights did.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
And especially in a lot of those, like we're talking about those photo shoots, he wasn't wearing his wrestling gear. He was wearing like legit, like that's a Speedo.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, you've seen a lot more. Of
like
Kevin Sullivan.
smart Bart Sawyer. He was tag team champs with The Rock and USWA. And when I lived in Portland, Oregon, I invited Smart Bart to go to the pool, and he showed up in his wrestling tights. Okay. And I was like, of course you did, Smart Bart.
You're in the hotel room.
So I go to the hotel, we give him some sushi, and he goes, Fairplay, what are you up to, brother? We're talking, and I initially really got to know Sully and XWF. And he was one of the producers for the TV tapings there, and so we were just going back and forth with Roddy stories because I mean anyone that really knew Roddy, we all have 100 Roddy stories that are all the most insane fucking things ever. I mean, like, God bless Roddy. I mean, he was crazy. So good crazy, but crazy. So anyway, so we're talking, and this was like the week after Punk showed up on the premiere of Rampage,
right,
and did like a 900,000.
Now, I think that was over 1 million, wasn't it?
Whatever.
Okay.
But the first
big
one,
number.
But insane. Well, I mean, what are they?
Biggest number they've had. Yeah, I think the last one. The last Rampage was like 3 something.
Whatever.
Yeah.
No. Last Rampage was probably like 120. Like, yeah, no. Like, it's Rampage is
no. The last Collision was like 2 something.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
The numbers are low. So anyway, so this was the first one, and where they didn't even say it, but they hinted.
Yeah.
And they did it in Chicago, and all that was a big thing. And it was awesome. They did the ice cream, all that stuff. It's pretty incredible. And I love Punk, and and I'm not. I wasn't scared to admit it then. I'm not scared to admit it now. Like, I there's 4 Punk T-shirts in that room over there. And of course, I couldn't be bothered to put on a wrestling shirt today, even though we're doing a fucking wrestling podcast.
I just wear my own merch.
Okay, well, that's smart. So anyway, so I so that had happened. He goes, Fairplay. He goes, what do you think about that Punk thing? And I was just like, I love it. I was like, I love CM Punk. And he goes, are you fucking kidding me? And I was just like, no. I was like, you don't like Punk? He goes, he looks like a melted candle.
But he didn't have anything to say about like the promo.
Nothing.
Or anything.
Looks like a melted candle, just like a fucking Kevin Nash. He goes, he looks like a fucking dishwasher at Waffle House.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
He's skinny fat. So he ain't skinny fat right now.
No, he's not.
That was his entire takeaway. He looks like a melted candle.
Wow. Yes, and what you learn about Sullivan, later on is like
Heat.
Well, I mean, all the stuff, you were talking about Sean, his involvement in WCW at the time, and even like later on, and learning about wrestling history, Eric Bischoff is so synonymous with WCW.
But it was Kevin.
In my mind, it's like, oh, okay, well, he was probably, in charge of creative in some aspect. No, he was not. He was not involved with creative much at all, and it was all
It had broad strokes.
Sure.
Broad strokes, big angles, but the show was 9 times out of 10 during most of that era. Kevin Sullivan.
So,
and all it was like, he was like, you know, and Eric would be like, "What are we doing?" He's like, "Heat, brother. We're just getting heat on them."
Yeah,
that's it. The show ends in heat.
So let me ask you this: so with the death of Kevin Sullivan, is that the end of the sort of heritage of Eddie Graham booking?
Ooh,
Watts is still alive, but he's out of the business.
No, you know, and we'll see. And the first one's going to be a reach. Well, you know, Eddie Graham Wrestling. Blackjack Mulligan was there a lot, and so you have Bo Dallas.
Yeah, but I'm talking about guys that learned booking from Eddie Graham.
Yeah,
you got Bill Watts, Dusty Rhodes, Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
And did those guys? Well, I mean, yeah, okay, Triple H because he learned stuff from Dusty.
Yeah,
and
I
Dusty
was about to say
Eddie.
that learning tree. You know, you got Blackjack Mulligan and Bo Dallas. You have Dusty and Cody.
Yeah.
You have Dusty and Dustin.
I'm talking about specifically
Kevin Sullivan.
Booking, though, you know.
Yeah. No, specific bowling. No, that's it. And that was. They did some good shit there, brother.
Florida is and that's everybody talks about, and I've tried to get into Mid-South, like the pre, like the 82 Mid-South was supposed to be good, and then it got crappy in 83, and then it got better in 84 when the Midnights and Rock and Roll and Magnum and all those guys came in with Dundee as booker. But there's something that's just it's not juicy enough for me with Mid-South, whereas like Florida, and I still haven't gotten super into it, but like Florida,
everything I see,
it's just fucking wild.
It's fucking wild. I mean, like, who doesn't love Dusty Rhodes being great? Who doesn't love early Barry Windham being great? Who doesn't love Kevin Sullivan being crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, like every package I see and every like YouTube, I'm just like, dude, this is some good shit.
Yeah,
brother.
and then and Blackjack's always there.
Yeah.
And then the guys that would come, the guys that would come in and out, like guys like Kendo Nagasaki, shit, like, and like anybody who like, Gary Hart would come through, although he was mostly,
world class.
It was mostly Texas, but like, yeah, just so if anything, if we can suggest to anybody in the audience, like if you want to think about Kevin Sullivan, you want to relive, go back and watch.
Watch some Florida.
Go some Florida 82, some Florida 81, 82, or just go on YouTube and look up like best of Kevin Sullivan promos.
Florida.
Yeah. From Florida. Well, they'll be there.
They'll be there.
They're going to be
Kevin Sullivan promos. But yeah.
Well, but there we go. I think we did it.
Yeah, Sean,
we did it.
Is this the best episode yet? We don't have a shark or anything behind us.
No, this has been pretty good. Can I say a couple quick things?
Please.
The things you might not have brought up about Raw was, I thought it was funny because at the end of Raw, one thing I'll say about Raw too is, I know people have talked about this, but back in the day, we thought, oh my gosh, like
3 hours.
Can we stand Raw?
3 hours.
Now, I love the 3 hour Raw. I'm like, let's go. Let's keep this thing going. They got so much good stuff going on that I'm invested in the whole 3 hours. I want to watch it. They did over 2 million that first hour, which was great to see because I wanted to see what Rhea was going to say. And the fact that people were invested and they wanted to see what she was going to do, or if she was there, what she was going to do was really cool. But the Braun Sammy, it was funny because there was only like 20 minutes left in the show. And I was like, how can they do a 2 out of 3 falls match in 20 minutes? Like, I know it's Braun. I know he's his matches haven't been that long, but I was like, man, you want to tell a good story. I'm kind of like interested to see what they did, but I thought it was really well done. Everything they did in that match was really well done. I think Braun's getting better each and every time he's in the ring. I think Sammy obviously sells great for him. I think there's some really good stuff out there for Braun. I think they're doing a really good job with him so far. So I want to hear what you guys thought about him real quick.
I agree. I thought that match was great.
When he shot him over the other side of
the barricade.
Yeah.
My God.
That was good.
That was a moment.
Great spot, and and I thought it was as long as it needed to be. It was for a TV main event. It was fucking awesome, and I think
if he had just avoided that corner for the first fall.
Yeah, and that's always the story. I think it convincingly gets Sammy out of the Intercontinental title picture.
Exactly.
And he does, and he should not feel bad about it. It's like, hey,
he's bigger than it.
It's like, hey, he did the thing, and it frees Braun up, to move along, so you won't have the looming, rematch like that's done. Sammy can take a break for a little bit.
Perfect.
Which is good. Because they've been really good about cycling people on and off TV. I'd actually at this point I'd be interested in seeing maybe a little Jey Uso Braun Breaker action. Not. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Jey Uso's in-ring work at all, but it gives him a little reason to do something on the show. And then when he ultimately is unsuccessful in his campaign, now we got me.
There we go.
Whoa! Look at that.
Yes, and ultimately, when he's unsuccessful in his campaign, that'll give him and Sammy something a little to commiserate about.
How awesome is that?
Moving forward. Oh yeah, this is really good. Everybody should check this out. This is me and some of my Nashville buddies performing at the 5 spot in Nashville, Tennessee, and I believe this is when we are mounting our rendition of Teenage Fan Club's landmark album, Bandwagon-esque, and everybody should check this out on my YouTube channel. That's Heath Haynes 990 on YouTube. Let's get our plugs in and see if we can get the hell out of here today.
Sure. I'm at Jonny Fairplay on all the socials. I'm going to be in Charlotte August 29th. It's me and Rachel Riley, Big Brother viewing party. Get tickets right now at BigBrotherTix.com. That's BigBrotherTix.com. It's an elimination episodes, Thursday night protagonist beer. Pretty excited about that. They have pinball there. It's pretty awesome. We're finishing with karaoke with DJ Festivus. That's going to be awesome. And then September 11th, 9/11, if you can remember it, never forget. I'm going to be at Protagonist Beer once again. It is the Challenge Season 40 viewing party. It's myself, Cara Maria, and Paulie Calafiore from the Challenge Season 40. We're going to be having a Challenge viewing party, Protagonist Beer. Go to ChallengeTix.com. That's ChallengeTix.com. And then look for Survivor viewing parties coming up. New season starts September 18th. Go to SurvivorTix.com. Tickets aren't up there quite yet. So go ahead and join me. Charlotte, North Carolina, August 29th, 9/11, September 11th. Those two. Get your cameos, cameo.com/Jonny Fairplay, JonnyFairplay.com for everything. Whew.
Here it is. Sean, thanks once again for joining us. As always here on Wrestling After Show. For Jonny Fairplay, I'm Heath Haynes, and we'll see you at the matches.
Yeah.